Op sociale mediaplatforms vandaag de dag gaat kwaliteitsinhoud vaak onopgemerkt voorbij. Op Den krijgen gebruikers betaald voor het maken, evalueren en beheren van kwaliteitsinhoud. Contentmakers worden beloond op basis van de betrokkenheid en het bereik van hun bericht of opmerking. Contentbeoordelaars worden beloond op basis van de snelheid en resultaten van hun voorspellingen over welke content trending zal zijn of viraal zal gaan. Eigenaren van communities worden beloond op basis van betrokkenheid binnen een community. Kwaliteitsinhoud loont op Den.
What's up, Den? We are back with another governance call. Thanks for joining us. Joe's not with us right now. I asked him to go work on something a little bit more important, in my opinion. So he's a busy man, and I'm going to run through some updates on Den this week. There's a couple of updates that are coming. There's a couple of governance issues to look at. The app has some updates coming out, and I'm doing something locally that I wanted to mention just to kind of get people thinking about marketing locally, you know, neighborhood stuff, mute space things. I'm more and more fond of that word. So yes, hello, happy Thursday. Den has been really kind of exciting, more than I expected it to this early in the year. To me, every January kind of gets a slow start, but and we went through a little bit of that. But I don't think anything really slowed down as much as it usually does. And considering, you know, the team has got a certain amount of bandwidth and they've pushed out a bunch of stuff. So this year we're going to be, and I'm specifically going to be putting time into, I guess you could just call it onboarding, right? But I'm using the tools and I'm showing people how they can use them in real life and making pretty good headway on non-crypto people. So that's, I guess, kind of my short-term focus right now is non-crypto people. I see it as an advantage. Let's go over to the agenda. Let's see what we've got going on. Updates. So we do have an app update coming out. Part of that's going to be an addition, I guess, an additional feature for when you're tipping somebody. Right now, we don't yet have a super easy way of looking up an individual user account to see, like, let's say someone's in front of you in real life and you wanted to tip them something, or if they're a vendor at a market and you wanted to pay with your Matter from the app. There's a little bit of an issue right now with like making sure you find the right person, that kind of thing. So what we're looking at and what's in for review right now internally is a QR system, a simple QR system where you can make a QR that basically just leads to your account to where you can hold it up on your app and it can be scanned. And then that way the person on the other phone out in real life can quickly get to your account if you need to, you know, tip someone like what I'm going to be doing with shows locally for artists. If you wanted to have a tip jar for busking with a QR code on it, things like that. That's the sort of direction that we're going there. So that's coming in. There's some more stuff like there's some buttons on the website that didn't make it into the app yet. So we had some issues with like functionality that should be in the app that wasn't quite. The follow button, for example, on a person's account, a user account. You couldn't in the app follow a user, which was obviously an issue. So that'll be back in there. That might take another couple weeks to come out. It has to go through this whole, you know, not only do we have to use it, make sure it works, but then Apple and Google and, you know, all that stuff to make sure that they want it in their app store. So it'll come out, but it's more or less done. The other big update that's coming is going to be the site-wide, well, that's a small update. So the big update that's coming is going to be the site-wide governance. And that's looking like it's probably, if I had to guess, and this isn't a guarantee or anything, but by the end of February, we probably should see that the site-wide governance is working nicely and in production and able to be used by everyone. And again, the difference in that between that and the layer-specific governance is you're not going to have any ownership tokens, any lot, to vote in the site-wide governance. Literally everybody on the platform is a part of that governance system. So if you if you think of like Den as, you know, a country or a city you live in, it's what we've done is figured a way, because we can measure things that before weren't really measurable, or at least objectively or easily. We've taken that and we've created sort of a system, a weighting system, to where everybody, based on their interactions on the site and based on the data that's available on chain, where we can kind of objectively measure stuff, everybody gets a weight, or what's a better way of saying that? Everybody gets a vote that's proportional to their relative, I guess you can call it a score you get just by using the platform. So that's going to be cool, because what that gives is everybody a voice, and that's one of the things I always get excited about with this kind of technology, is giving everybody a voice. And every DAO that I've seen, and every decentralized governance effort that I've seen, there is a ton of good ones, but I haven't really seen one like this, where you don't have to ask someone to go learn about cryptocurrency and figure out how to use MetaMask and blockchain, and then go buy a token, or at least, you know, receive an airdrop of a token or something. All that complication is taken care of, and the user experience is simply, I have an app and we communicate, and I talk to my friends, and maybe I'm a creator, and because of all that, I get a say in what happens, you know, decisions that are made. So that's cool. I'm excited about that one. And with that, related to that, we did at the end of last year say we were going to move liquidity from V2 to V3, and as far as I know, that's all done. So that's been completed. There's still a little bit of liquid from other people, from some of the governance layers from 21 that are still active as we bridge the gap between 21 governance and 22 site-wide governance. So there's a little bit of that left in V2, but the V3 is now the officially supported liquidity pool, I guess, the place to add liquidity if you wanted to help the platform out. So that's going to be used. The V3 liquidity is what's going to be used for things like governance, right? The people that provide liquidity for Matter and Lore have a vote that's specific to that. It also affects your behavioral rewards, or your farming, or your liquidity mining, or yield farming, or you know, there's so many terms. Epic crypto gains. That is going to be taking into account that liquidity too from V3. And for right now, we've chosen the 1% tier fee, so or fee tier. So if you do go over there to add liquidity, even though our site-wide governance isn't active yet, and even though our liquidity mining rewards are not active yet, you can already know that the supported pool is the one that already exists over on Uniswap V3. If you go to add liquidity on V3, it's going to probably point you to the one that already exists. And if not, just know that it's the 1% fee tier for Matter and for Lore, right? So if you got it in there, then once those systems do become active, you're going to be able to you know, I won't say for sure, but you'll already be in place to start receiving the rewards, and the voting mechanisms will be active too for that. So that's Uniswap V3. What else is new for updates? I think that's the updates I wanted to go through. So new tipping feature with QR. We've got DENGOV is still being worked on. We've got V3 migrations done, and the 1% pool over there is the one you're going to want to use for adding liquidity to get your rewards, your Lore rewards, and your voting weight. And yeah, so that's enough for that now. Let's see. Yes. So governance call. Let's talk about governance stuff. There was a governance proposal that passed that changed the GI timeout to 1 week. And so that what that refers to is in lair proposals, whenever you put something up for a vote, like a new banner, for example, right? So you make a new banner, you put it up as a proposal, you upload the banner, and then you're asking people to vote on it who are lot holders. Let's say we're in the gaming layer or something. And for whatever reason, you don't get enough votes to pass that 50% mark, and the proposal just sits there stagnant. Well, when we first implemented it, it was a 2-week timeout, to where after 2 weeks, it just took whoever voted and made that like decision based on those people's votes. Excuse me. And then after we released it, we sort of saw that that was too long, and so we put up a proposal to make sure everyone was okay with changing that to 1 week. Looks like there were not really anybody against it, so that's passed, and so now it's 1 week. So that that's in place, or it's going to be in place. It's at least passed. And then the one that hasn't passed yet that you can still vote on is the proposal to increase the number of layers created in the monthly LCP. That came around because we're able to use the new fee system that was implemented. And instead of paying in Ether, now you can pay a fee in Matter if you want to create a layer that almost won. So like right now, for example, we'll go into it next, but the LCP voting phase, or the committal phase, is open. So this is where people go in and they commit lore that's been farmed by their activity on the system. They commit lore that month to the layers that they want to see, or that they'd be interested in participating in, or at least seeing content from in the layer, in the LCP process. And so that's open now, and I just lost my place. I got sidetracked. What were we talking about? DENGOV. Oh, yeah. So one of the things that we do is we offer the ability for someone to pay a fee in Matter if you're like the first or second or up to fifth runner-up by like how many unique people voted. You can pay a fee and get it created just like as if it won. Nothing's different about the layer. It's still an LCP winning layer. It's still the maximum number of lot or NFTs for ownership are still, treated the same. You can't create any more. So, you're not like second rate or anything. You just didn't win, and the winner gets it for free. So since that came out, we can see like, okay, well, if people are consistently paying that fee to create a layer because theirs is not winning fast enough, then it looks like there's probably room for adding another winner every month so that people don't have to pay those fees. And so that's what this is about. And I think it's the first time we've talked about using that as a metric before to determine if we need to go up and down with a number. But this is probably the first time that that's been used. So check out that proposal. They're both in the Den governance layer. And while we're on this, let's go over, I haven't looked yet, but I want to look and see if there's any GIs that are open recently that we can look at, see if anything's interesting, or that I can vote on that I haven't yet. Okay, so this is the, oh look, they got the icons in there. Dope. So I don't know when this went in, but I've been kind of down and out for a few days, and I haven't been paying attention. So this is actually the first time that I've seen some of these icons in production, which is pretty cool. So governance, you can change by last created and last modified. And this is where you're going to go. We're going to revamp this a little bit over time, but it's, it's iterating a little bit at a time. And let's see here. I'm just going to go through and see if there's anything. I don't think I have anything to vote on for tabletops. So let me see here. Can I sort by proposed by me, available and pending governance issues? Okay. So also shout out to JP12X. Something that happened, and it took us too long to respond to it. Sorry about that, but you didn't have any tags at first in the tabletop RPG layer, but you do now. So sorry about that, but they're in there now. And we spent a little bit of time talking about tabletop RPG at the last, at this week's Coffee with Den episode 2. So I'm glad to see some proposals in here. What do we have here? Quick survey. Are you planning? Oh, cool. So here's something that I haven't seen a lot of that I was pretty sure was going to get used this way. So JP12X is using the miscellaneous proposal mechanism to basically put up a poll to the community. And so since there's a limit of 13, you can have up to 13 options. And then you can just treat this as a poll and put it in your post, and you can link directly to this. So like, for example, you could take this link up here, copy it. Does that show up on the screen? Yeah, copy, Yeah. And then if you wanted to like post about that, you can literally just, and I'll just dip into something real quick randomly that doesn't mind me. Here, this is my layer. I'll do it here. If I were to reply to this, I could use this as a link, and that should, and then you can talk about, you could use that as your poll, right? Hey, click here to participate in the poll for whatever reason. And then you publish that, and let's just try it out live. It should lead me right to that governance issue. Yes? Yes, cool. So that's cool. John is, JP12X is pretty good about kicking the tires and trying things out. So I appreciate that. I'll dip into tabletops and see how that turns out back. Excuse me, I'm having browser issues, it looks like. Let's go here and try that one. All right, what else? Governance. Who else has got proposals up? World Blockchain Roundtable has, let's see, what should the topics for the month of February be? I don't think I voted on this. No, I haven't. Cool. So if you've been following World Blockchain, they are, that is a podcast that is using DIN as its platform, which is great. And it's been trying out a few of the newer mechanics kind of as soon as we get them. Whenever people leave questions for the panel, if that question gets hit, if they're voted up far enough by the community for that question to get hit on the show actually tips out lot or ownership tokens for the layer to the participants. So in participating, you actually gain ownership of it just by participating, which I think is dope because a lot of people do that for free, and now you can get rewards and ownership for it. So let's see. What do I want to see? I'm going to vote for one of these. Freestyle, entertainment, mining maybe. DeFi, NFT utility, analysis. We could do another analysis. I think we could do a better analysis show in the future. I'd like to see that one hit again. Decentralized blockchain platforms, interoperability, layer 1 deep dive, transaction cost security. It's kind of an analysis thing. Layer 2 zero knowledge roll-up solutions. That is very specific, but it could be cool too. I'm going to vote for mining because I'm a miner at heart. More of a hobby miner, but I'm getting up there little by little. So I'm going to vote on that and commit. And that's all you have to do to vote. Boom. So we've got tag proposals. I recommend that if you need some tags, open a post like I did recently in the music layer and ask the community what tags they want to see and see if you get any participation in that. Because that's a pretty good way to you can just figure out what people are going to vote for ahead of time and not waste time. You know what I mean? So let's see. Video games, create tag, video games. This is in the gaming layer. Okay, because it might not just be about video games. Sure, I don't see why not. Let's go. I'll add my 0.16% to it. All right, let's see. We've got Elon Musk layer has some proposals from Bit by the Coin for tags. We have add tags. Which one? We've got Boring Company. That's one of Elon's companies. Cool. Makes sense. Vote for that. We've got, did I skip one? Here we go. We've got meme. Yeah, that's basically Elon's whole life, so I'll approve that. We've got, oops, I just did that thing where I adjust my windows again. Sorry, y'all. Let's see, they want a Starlink. Man, you know, I want a Starlink too. I even ordered and paid for one, and it hasn't gotten here yet. What's up with that? Tesla, yep, seems to be relevant. So obviously what I'm doing is I'm just going in to see if it's relevant, if it fits, if I feel like that's a tag that people would use. And these are all great tags because they're specific to Elon Musk's collection of companies, I guess. All right, let's see here. I didn't think I had any tabletop lot, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Yeah, I do. I have 18%, so I should vote. Okay. Are you playing? So no, but I'm planning to. So let's see. No, but I want to. That's dope right there. I'm talking about doing that with a couple of people. There's a tabletop where you can virtually design your own tabletop thing, so you can play in person, but not in person on the computer. So that would be cool for the gaming layer. JB12X and tabletops tag for denizens sharing their campaigns. Sounds great. Let's vote for that. All right, and then we have cybersecurity and awareness. Description change. Cool. I want to see more of these as well, because it's been a while since some of the layers were created, and some of them aren't very descriptive or don't have one. So let's see. Current proposed. Do you want a place where you can find the latest cybersecurity news and trends? Do you want to warn fellow denizens of ongoing phishing campaigns and scams? Cybersecurity awareness, share advices, and even funny CS memes, then be part of Den's CATS, Cyber Awareness and Trending Source. I hadn't put that acronym together before, but I love it. CATS. All right, yeah. So the description sounds fine to me. I don't have a problem at all. And I will go with the other 3 people that voted and say, go for it. Let's see. We've got 2 more. There is the same layer. Add avatar. Okay. Den cats. I love that. What does this look like? Den cybersecurity. Yeah. Digging it. Better than a blank anyway. So that's the best one available. So I'm going to vote yes. And then we have proposing Warzone once again from Street Meat. I ignored this one last time, but I will not this time. We discussed it, and I am on board with what everybody wants, and it does seem like people want specific game tags for particular games. So there we go on that, and that should be all of my list. So there we go. I cleared my list. That's something that hasn't been available until now, too. The ability to clear your list of pending things to vote on. Because until now, you couldn't sort it by just the ones that you have the ability to vote on. It would show you everything on the whole website, which is not always exactly what we wanted. So yes, there is that. Let me navigate back to where I was if I can. You know what? I don't need to do that because the next segment was I was going to go into the LCP anyway. So let's do that. Voting is alive. Let's see who's winning. So this month, next month, we're going to do 1 by lore and 2 by unique voters, I think. Unless it for some reason fails, I don't think it will. This month we're doing 1 and 1. So we have current situation. Currently, the current situation is that current situation is going to win both of them. So if somebody disagrees with that being the current situation, you might come in and vote on, let's see, how would you snipe that? You might have an easier time doing it by lore and getting airdrops up to the top and then letting current situation win the unique voters, because you're probably more likely to get, what do we need here? 0.4 million to get even. Much more likely to get 400,000 lore committed, in my opinion, than to get 12 people to commit lore to one of the layers, like collectibles or Japan. So if I were trying to disrupt the current leaderboard in the contest, I think that's what I would do, is I would start dumping on airdrops. So my share, let me try to do that because I don't have very much. Layer description. I think airdrops is interesting because it could potentially be like a free money layer. If you incentivize it and maintain it and manage it properly, maybe have some additional awards as layer owners that you can organize. You can make this into a pretty valuable resource, and I think it'd be a valuable resource for people that people would find from other places on the internet too, because people search airdrops all the time. It's literally companies saying, "Here, take this free money." You know what I mean? So, if there's something free, people remember. Yeah, I'm gonna throw in on this. I'm not gonna do my max. What's in here? 1.7. What I can do though is I can bring it up to. I got a lot of lore. Wow. Okay. Let's see. I wouldn't mind having. What does this do? 19%. That sounds fine. So that'll bring it up neck and neck. Let's do that right now. And then see how that updates. 2.1 versus 2.1. Hey, hey. So that was my personal vote. That wasn't like, you know, me doing anything official on a gov call or anything. But I think that's, yeah, that's more even. Let's see how it goes. So current situation airdrops, that's where my money's at. One of those two. I'm going to win that one. But then you also have, you know, scroll down because you might find that a lot of these, you're going to have some extra lore left over, you know, and so you want to scroll down and look at some of the newer ones that have been added recently too. And I'm just now thinking, you know, it might be a good idea to put in some way to see which ones were added this month. That could be potentially useful. Just food for thought. So there's that. Lair LCP commitment phase ends in 4 days, it says. 4 days, 18 hours. So you got 4 days to get your votes in. All right, back to the here, and then we were where? We were here. Cool. If you're in the Den governance call, there is a link to join the call. I'm pretty close to calling this a short episode, so I wanted to give you a last call real quick while I go through what I'm doing and talk about some ideas for marketing and stuff. But go hit this link to join the call if there's anything that you want to talk about, and we'll chat about it for a little while. And put something in private chat. If you click that, you might see just yourself and not anybody else. But say something in private chat, and then we'll see that you're here and what you want to talk about, and probably bring you up. All right, let's see. Intro and review. Where are we? LCP. Did I miss anything here? We did talk about the 5 runners up, so I won't hit that again. Cool. So let's switch over to here. I posted this on Twitter. This is not Den at all. Sorry about that. But I wanted to point something out because it was interesting. This little Den experiment animation, this looping right here, Y'all Weird helped me make the original poster for this, and it's for something we're doing locally, where we're doing we're investing every month in paying artists to come out and use the app and give us feedback and, you know, try out the tipping and all that stuff. But I started telling people after someone asked me, hey, do you mind if I make my own version of the poster to advertise it? Because it was similar to this, but it wasn't this. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. This is what I'm trying to do, is get people to pick it up and just take it and own it. It's theirs. It's everyone's. So someone sent this to me today, right before the governance call. And I was like, dude, perfect. Like, took it upon herself to grab the graphics, edit it into a cool little, I think it's an Instagram advertisement. And then is just sending that around, texting it to friends and posting it on their Instagram and stuff. So I just wanted to say, yeah, do stuff like that. If there's something that you think is useful and you want to use it, or you have an idea, this is Den. We all own this. So it's yours as well, you know, as everybody's the owner, right? We're treating each other like owners here and human beings. So yeah, that was cool. What else? Oh, we have somebody. Hyperion Frequency. This just popped in. Hyperion, drop us a line in private chat, and I'll pull you on in a minute while you get ready there. Let me check, while I'm waiting, let me check on the chat over here. We have, hello, everyone. I am. You've been great. You came on recently and really have been publishing a lot of good content. You've been talking about marketing, and you've been talking about comparisons with other platforms, and it's been really I think I called it like informed or something, but it's good stuff, and I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. You good to go? All right, so we've got Hyperion Frequency coming right up. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
There you are, and I can hear you too. Hey, thanks for popping in, man.
No problem. I actually talked to you this morning when I sent in the one layer, in the spiritual layer. I don't know if you remember.
Ah, yes, right. Yep, we were talking about how it was kind of not to use I don't want to use the word dead in the spirituality layer, but you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm guilty of having too many. I got myself spread so super thin, and we talked about visibility a little bit, right? As far as new post visibility and things like that. And I actually have gone through recently, and I unsubscribed from a few layers just because I had been subscribing to layers every time they won on an LCP, you know, just because, cool, I want to see what's going to be coming into this and stuff. But then a lot of them, you know, I don't know if, for whatever reason, I think my home feed, I'm following so many people and I'm following so many, subscribed to so many layers that I think some posts that don't get as much energy applied to them because they're in a less active layer might get lost in the mix there a little bit. So that's a possibility. But I'm glad you posted that so I could see it.
Yeah, no, I was actually looking. I've been trying the boost feature out. I can see that the app is literally updating every day. I look at the app and I also look at the website on my tablet, so I can see that literally, like, as the hours go by, how the site is evolving and how we're trying new things out and we're figuring out which ways work the best and everything like
Thanks
that.
for paying attention to that. That's I'm glad you get that, because that's exactly what's happening.
It's just hard because, like, when you see the potentiality of it, you're just like, oh wow. But like, we have to be patient. We have to be slow about it. We have to be smart, right?
Yeah, right.
I do have a question though.
For sure, and we can talk about boosting a little bit too. I know you had a question about that as well, if that's not your question.
Well, no, it's a little bit different because I actually ran into a situation in a different layer, and I just wasn't sure exactly how we were handling it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was banned in the advice layer, right?
Oh, that was quick. That was recently added.
Literally, mind you. So my posts are upvoted in the layer,
okay,
and there's nobody tagged my post as in wrong layer, and there was no comments about people being unhappy about the post itself, right?
Okay.
So it's a kind of a two-part question. If
Sure.
I was somebody who had a lot into that layer, right?
Yeah.
Would there still be potentiality of me being banned? One, and how are we regulating who and why people can be banned from these layers?
Cool. That's a great question. So banning is something that if we're updating the white paper right now for like a final, like from everything we've learned, adding some features into the white paper that weren't there in the beginning and stuff. But in there, it lays out banning, and it lays out this idea of, I like to think of it personally as sort of an indirect ban, where the way that you ban people is the layer owners set a threshold for like how many people can block a person before they're banned. Now, I don't know what exactly happened in the advice layer. In fact, I might personally need to look into that because it seems a little bit atypical. You know, if it's a new layer, you know, you're just posting in there, you didn't get a lot of obvious feedback. I don't see why you would be banned. So, I mean, I'll look into that anyway. But the way it should work is that if, let's say the threshold is set to 5, if 5 different people block the same person, then that person becomes banned from the layer. And also, you can only block so many people. So we try to set up a situation where there's tools available to sort of weed people out, but it isn't supposed to be unilateral. It isn't supposed to be like one person saying, nope, ban this person, ban Hammer, right? That kind of thing.
I did notice that there was at least 2 people who have been consecutively downvoting my post, even in other layers, when it was just kind of unusual how everything was happening. Because I look at the metrics when it comes out, like I want to see like how my posts are doing. Like I mean, that's part of what the whole app is, right? But
that's why that's there, so you can dig in and try to see how you know, like
you really want to know, you know,
your performance, yeah, and see what people are thinking about it.
I was wondering, so if you end up getting banned from a layer and you have content in that layer and you don't delete it, do you lose the opportunity to get revenue from the stuff that's in that?
I have a question for you. Did you get banned, or did you lose the ability to post? Because those are two different things.
Well, when I go to the layer, it says that you've been banned.
Oh,
like
well,
I can't even open it up.
Okay. I'm going to take a note of that actually and look into it. But because we can look and see probably what happened. Everything should be in line with the way it's supposed to work. I'm just always a little bit hesitant because if it's a brand new layer, maybe there's something that didn't get implemented right. I don't know. But to me, what should happen is, here's what I can see happening. And I don't see it leading to a ban, so it's weird if it did. But I can see, if a layer is not very active, especially in the beginning or something when it's just starting and people haven't gotten into the flow of using it, if one or two people are downvoting and other people aren't chipping in to say, oh, no, upvoting, then you might get a consensus saying that you've got bad content, even if you don't, or something. So that sounds like an attack. I don't know if it is or not, and I don't like to immediately go to that. But
no, I completely understand.
Yeah, that's odd. That's bizarre. And it's only you're having this issue particularly in the advice layer, or you're saying there's somebody kind of following you around. It feels like.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, I'm not one of those kinds of people where oh, the walls are closing in on me or anything like that. So that's why it's I'm looking, and like I said, it's content that's being upvoted. I mean, it's not even just 10 votes here or 10 energy or 100. I have 1,000 plus energy in some of the content that's on there,
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for you. What I think that we can do is we can talk about it and see what happened and why. Because if it happened that way for you, this is the kind of feedback that we want from people. Is because we got to make sure that it's not doing something that we don't know it's doing, that kind of thing. So I appreciate you not taking it personally, first of all, because some people do. And
start raging and just talking trash.
Well, everybody, I do that too. I try to tone it down sometimes. But everybody there's this problem with communicating over text, especially, and that happens on Den and it happens on text messages and stuff like that, where sometimes you take it as the way that you project what you fear the person means in reading it, even though you can't hear their tone of voice and you can't hear if they're smiling or mad or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah. So what you should do is you should email support so we have a way to contact you directly.
Oh, that's a good point.
So that because and this relates to something that I am just asked, which is a question about implementing a chat function in the Den. Right now, there's not a DM system. So email support about this so that we can look into it and so that we have your direct contact and we can converse back and forth on that offline. Because we'll figure it out, And if you did get banned for some reason that is in line with how the system works, we'll tell you
it's
why.
Reasonable, yeah.
Yeah. But if not, we want to know that too.
Yeah, it's just it's hard trying to find the right kind of layers, especially since we're still so new, to be able to post specific kind of content. And then when you're banned from these layers, it kind of takes there's one less place where you can put stuff,
Yeah, and if it's an umbrella, it could cover a lot of different topics. That's a big chunk of I can see that, because in the beginning there was an effort to get these big umbrella categories out there, science and space technology. That could have easily been 10 different layers, but we're we just need some place for this kind of content or some place for that. And advice is that, I was thinking about posting an advice earlier today whenever I figured out that I screwed something up on a computer I was building, advice on how not to do something.
Definitely.
But yeah, sorry you had a bad experience with that.
I mean, it happens. Like I said, I don't take it personally or anything like that. I mean, it could be any one reason. I mean, I know that some people can have an aversion to certain topics and stuff like that. And as being as it's advice and stuff like that, advice can be broken down into philosophy and psychology and sociology and stuff like that. So there's literally so many different things that could be being posted in there. And if there's people, especially layer owners, because I'm not a layer owner or anything like that. So if there's people who are adverse to hearing these things, and then they're layer owners and stuff like that, of an umbrella kind
Yeah,
of layer and stuff like that, it could be dangerous because what if these people also have tokens in like the spirituality layer or the soulful layer and stuff like that, you know? So then it's like you start feeling like the walls are closing in on you in a way, you know?
Yeah, and the advice layer is going to be interesting to see how that community decides. For example, like what's good advice or bad advice? You know what I mean? Is that something where you evaluate it up and down, or is that something where you just tag it, that kind of thing? You know?
Right.
Um,
Definitely need to kind of make sure that advising the layer owners to particularly put in like what you guys want or don't want within the layer in some kind of fashion. I did see on some of the layers, I don't know if it was just, it wasn't in all of the layers when I was visiting, but some of them started to have this kind of star system where things were being rated, and it looked really cool. And it showed me what my rating was on the website. It showed me like
you're talking about the reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely really cool. That's definitely really cool.
I wanted to let's back up for a second. I got some good news for you. The problem that you described that you had for getting banned from the layer, it was an error at setup and it's being fixed. So I'm getting some behind the scenes real time feedback right now.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I mean, I'm out here. I'm using Den as a blog, and
dope.
I'm attaching it to my Facebook page, which has over like 5,000 followers. It's not that many, but like I'm getting some positive feedback. I'm sending the links into people's inboxes and stuff like that. And that whole, because there's no real referral. And so I actually went through not the white page, but like the one that's right above it.
The it's kind of a slide deck, right?
Yeah, and it was explaining
roles of it. Like here's this role and here's that role and that kind of thing.
It was explaining like lore. It's like the complete breakdown of it. I think it was the overview page that I was on, and it was just saying how like sharing the links is on the outside, like in other social medias, can be really important.
Yeah, you want to talk about Boost a little bit because that goes right in with that.
Yeah, so I had only been using Boost inside, like moving it all the way over. So that's what I was kind of confused about, because it talks about internal and external and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if it's external for not just the layer, like it means external for Den itself that it's flowing through, or is it more about, you know, because I was thinking about
that point of confusion before, but you're right. That is a point of confusion because it could be interpreted either way. So what it is external to Den. It's outside of the entire website. And it's my favorite like way to boost stuff. Because what you can do with that, I come from a lot of different backgrounds, I guess, but more recently I've got an event planning, band manager type background. And so here's the way that I'm using external boosting that I think is really powerful is, as an advertiser, number one, there's no advertising on Den. So the best you can do is post something relevant to the content and boost it. But if you have something inside of Den, like I've got a Gainesville layer from my hometown, and it's deader than the spirituality layer. You know what I mean? It's just not active right now, which is one thing that we're focusing on locally. And what I can do is, instead of going to, for example, what I used to do is I would go to Facebook and I would say, hey, Facebook, here is $300. I would like you to run this event page and show it to people that have these certain interests or live in this part of town near the venue that might walk over, that kind of thing. So what you can do instead of that is you can take that same $300 worth of matter and you can put it in an external boost. And you can put that in an external boost for 1 day, or you can put it for 4 or 5 days. There's a max, I forget what it is, but you can do several days or just one. And you could spend a certain budget each day, just like any other like advertising interface that you would see on Facebook or something. And then what happens is, if you set that all to external, let's say you don't do any, there's a little slider left and right. You can go all internal, all external, or anywhere in between to split it up. So if I go all the way to the right to external only, what that's saying is anybody who has an account on Den who goes to that page and scrolls down to the share button and they click on the share button while they're logged in, they'll get a link that has their unique reference ID on it. And with that link, you can send it via text message and say, hey, check out this blog post. You can send it in an email to somebody. Like you can use non-Den channels. You can post it on Facebook, Instagram. You can rent a billboard and put a QR code on it so that people driving by scan your personal link. And what happens is you can use that for a street team if you have a show or something, right? And say, hey, everybody, here's the tool we're using to keep track of who's doing how much work, or more accurately, who's doing the best job at advertising this to people. And you measure that by clickbacks. So everybody has a different link when they hit share. It's the same post, but everybody has their own personal link. And depending on who has the most eyeballs coming back to look at that post when they, text their friends and stuff or spread it around, that's who that $300 goes to, that external boost. So literally what you're doing is, instead of paying a centralized company to advertise for you based on data that they've mined from people without their knowledge sometimes, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, you guys that support me already, you're my friends, my family, my readers, my audience, right? If you will share this around for me, you'll directly get rewarded for doing that. And it ends up being pretty effective, especially on a more personal level like that, because people are very good at knowing which of their friends would be into something. You don't need a data mined AI algorithmic decision on who to show an ad to. You just need people who know people to think of someone who would be into it and show it to them. And so external boosts is a way to facilitate exactly that. It's a tool to, without you having to micromanage it, it's a tool for you to put matter in a bucket and then give that bucket out to anybody who spreads your blog off of Den, and they'll come on to Den to check it out. And it doesn't matter if they have an account, as long as they look at it, you get eyeballs on. Your people that are sharing the boost for you, the external boost, that's who gets the payout. And you'll see that in your boost rewards and stuff too. So you can take some of the points and basically, use that.
So if I'm boosting it and I share it, is that a negative thing on my part?
No, you just get your own boost money back, basically.
Okay, so and then another thing that I was thinking about. So you were talking about how when you're sliding left to right.
Real quick, I should say there is a fee on that. Mm-hmm. So instead of the $300, it'll be like 280 or whatever the number is, minus a small fee.
Yeah, I've seen like the 15%. Like some of it goes to the layer, some of it goes to Den. So yeah, I completely understand that. So when you're setting up to boost, and it's like, because it asks you, it's like, okay, so how much do you want to boost this by? Like how much energy do you want to put into it, right?
Matter usually. But
Matter. Yeah. I'm sorry. Let me see, so I can actually look at it.
Sure.
So when you're actually trying to do that, well, I haven't really put up any post today. Boost, and it's talking about how much it's going to cost. So I put in 4 matter, and I'm only going to run it for a day. But it's telling me that the cost is only going to be 1 matter and stuff like that.
So you're going to, this is for internal, right? For internal?
Is it different if I do it for external? Because I haven't tried to do it external yet.
Yeah, it can be different. One of the differences is on the internal, you can actually get your money back after you run that boost. And the way that you can get, so I think it's 85% of your money can come back to you if it performs well, basically. And the incentive there is, well, kind of the theory is that the perfect ad is not an ad. The perfect ad is quality content that people will not be annoyed by. And they read it and they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, let me evaluate that up. That's good information. It's relevant to the community, right? Instead of just spamming ads. So what that is an incentive for advertisers to write a decent ad, and if it's accepted if it's performs well, you get up to 85% of your money back in that. And if not, if people downvote it, then you don't get your money back. So that's for advertisers, and I think that money goes into the pool for the layer or something. It's also prorated. So if you're doing, let's say it's halfway through the day or something, and you say you're going to boost it for 4, well, you might not use that whole 4 because you're only using half a day, so it prorates it. Instead of using a 24 hours worth of boost, it just uses whatever time's left in the day, in the period, or whatever. So that's probably what you're seeing when it says it's going to cost 1. So it'll prorate. It'll prorate one. Maybe it prorates 1 day at 4 per day, but there's only a quarter of the day left. So maybe it's like, okay, so 1, right? That's probably what's going on.
So it's cheaper to do internal compared to external. You can put more into more matter into the external boost.
Well, you can put. I would say it specifically depends on what your objective is as a creator. Because if, for example, let's say you're in a very active layer. Let's say you're in the food layer, right? Extremely active. A lot of people posting honestly decent content in there, whether it's a food blog, I ate this here, or whether it's a full, instructions on how to cook it. That's a layer that internal boosts would be really effective for, because there's a built-in audience. So it's going to boost it only inside of that one layer for visibility, right? So when you boost it, it's as if you're saying, okay, pretend like this has gotten some positive votes until we can get enough real votes to evaluate it. So the visibility thing. But if it's in an inactive layer, then it does the same thing, but now you're boosting it to almost nobody. So with inactive layers, that's where it's useful to try to pull people in from other communities. Let's say you have a spirituality community or a forum or a blog somewhere else. You can use that external boost to incentivize people to share your blog from Den onto whatever let's say you don't have an external, like another community, but somebody who does. You can just say, hey man, I put some money in this external boost. If you share this to your whatever community, you'll get whatever money's in there. You'll get paid out for that. So the external boost is pretty good for bringing people in to look at it that aren't already here, if that makes sense. Definitely. So I would look at it in that way, because I think the most efficient, or like saying it's cheaper to do one or the other. It's not cheaper if it's ineffective. You know what I mean? It's more expensive if it doesn't work.
Because you're pretty much just wasting your money if it's ineffective.
Right. Yeah. Results is what we want. That kind of thing.
100%. Can I ask you another question really quick? I don't want to keep your time up.
That's fine. I'm good.
So what are we thinking about when it comes to the internal exchange on Den, so that people don't necessarily have to worry about the gas prices going from outside of Den when it comes to trading the different tokens? For example, say that I have LOT and I don't want LOT anymore, and I'm willing to trade it for matter. And I know that we can tip people these things, but there's also the chance that like somebody isn't a nice person.
Yeah, right? Somebody might lie. Oh gosh. No, you're right. Yeah, there's no escrow or marketplace system implemented, but we are going to make that, and it's at least we have solid plans to. I don't know when that's going to come down the pipe, because right now things like direct messaging, chat, things like that, basic functionality needs to go in. But
I mean, definitely soon, as long as we have an idea.
Yeah. So the idea is that there would be a way to buy LOT internal on the system from people who already own it, and we even have a way. We've even figured out a way to objectively measure how much it should cost, instead of relying on people to speculate and say, I want this much for it, or I'll pay that much for it, right? Because again, we have all of this in the background. We have all this blockchain stuff going on. So we can, and what's magical is we can do all of this without collecting people's personal information, right? Which wasn't possible before. But what we can do is we can see how much matter those LOT have produced for the holder, right? And so since again, we'll use spirituality layer and food layer. If you're a lot holder in the food layer, you're going to get a considerably larger reward daily payout as being an owner from the 5% of matter that gets mined in that layer than if you were a lot holder in the spirituality layer. So one lot does not equal one lot. It depends on which layer it's from.
Oh, that's a really good point. Definitely.
Yeah. And so what we can do though is we can measure how much matter, the relative value, right? It's hard to put a value on it. It's like a global, Earth value, but like a relative DEN value of per lot, that's actually possible, and it's able to be done objectively without a speculation market, which I think is super cool. So that's where we're going with that, and that'll probably iterate or change a little bit as we set it up. But yeah, there's definitely that's something that's coming for sure.
I mean, that's definitely really cool. I'm glad that we have some ideas flowing. That sounds awesome. When you brought up the chat, and because I've watched some of the videos whenever I've had a chance, and one of the things that I was thinking about is because we're trying to implement these different types of chat within the layers and stuff like that. So what about in this instances when would it be necessarily a bad thing if we set a threshold for people to have to pay maybe like 2 energy a day if they want to have access to the chat? Do you think that would be a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's something that will go in as like the first version of it. But even I've thought about.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was talking to probably a year ago, but I think I was talking to BitBuy about this a little bit and saying, what if we charged 1 energy per character?
I mean, later when people have a lot of matter and you're getting all this energy a day, but like I don't know if people are going to have that much matter. In a year, 2 years. I mean, if this is really something that becomes explosive and super successful, the amount of matter people get later is not going to necessarily be as much as everybody's getting now.
That's correct. Yeah, and that's something that you can map to adoption too, because if you look at the way that DEN is set up with its tokens, there's only going to be 1,000 matter every day that goes out to everyone, and that isn't changing for like 1,300 years if you read the contract. You know what I mean? So wow. It's 1,000 matter a day forever. That's why there's only 733,000 matter or something like that right now. So it's a scarce resource, and scarcity only goes up with adoption. And if you think about the utility just internal to DEN, about where matter gets used for posts, like there's no advertising on DEN. If an advertiser wants to come in and advertise to a community, they're going to have to either create an account and create quality content and earn matter just like everybody else, and then spend that matter to run their ad. Or they're going to have to go and purchase matter, which is also supporting the community that uses that token, and then they can spend that on the platform. You know what I mean? So it's got some special sauce.
Definitely, no, I really like it. I really like it.
Cool, but
do we have any?
Oh, I wanted to hit chat real quick since that was asked a little bit ago. The way that we played with chat for a little bit already on the mobile app during development, and we actually there's still a chat button in the mobile app, which I don't think works right now, but it did for a while. And what we're doing is each layer is going to have its own chat room separate from every other layer. So you have a community chat that does a couple things. Obviously, it lets you communicate with people. It also gets rid of a lot of the low effort posts, because people can now just hop in chat and they can chat. And they can talk, hey, what's up? Hey, yada, yada. So then, if a layer has an issue with low effort posts, a lot of those naturally will just go to chat at that point as a hangout spot. And then the other cool thing is, as a layer owner, as somebody who wants to just monitor a layer or several layers that maybe you own or are a creator in or something, in the layer chat, if there's a new post on the layer, it'll actually come in line in chat. So you can see like, oh, so-and-so posted a post. And so you could maybe even get a summary of it right there without having to leave chat to know it was posted. But if it's interesting enough, you can click on it and go look at it. And that'll help for visibility too. So like if you were to post in spirituality, whoever's in chat at the time would see that post in line, like, oh, so-and-so posted in the lair kind of thing. So that'd be pretty cool. DMs, obviously, we need to be able to talk to people like you who come in saying, hey, there's this weird issue, I'm not sure what's going on, so that we can take care of that. And then group chat as well is something that we want. I'm trying to think. I can't think of. There's probably a timeline on that somewhere, but I don't remember reading it anywhere. I just know that it's actively being worked on.
I mean, it's going to take a while. You guys are literally you're building a palace stone by stone, and then you're also taking stones out and then putting in new stones. So it's not an overnight thing.
It's not an overnight thing, but thank you for that. Yeah, it's man, it's interesting. It's interesting for sure. It's changed me. It's made me a better person because using a lot of the social media platforms out there, a lot of it's just not good for your mental health. You get in, you get down, into these artificially created bubbles that you didn't yourself put yourself into, and before you know it, you're a little bit separated from reality, So what we're building here is, in my opinion, a direct response to, hey, this might not have been possible before, but now it is. So let's do this better now.
I feel like it also, I mean, everybody is in their own personal delusion if you don't know what reality actually is. So you're very correct. And I think that Den is giving people an opportunity to choose the delusion that they get to live in a more healthy way, because there's nothing necessarily wrong with technology and everything like that. It's just being bombarded with all these ads and all this fake soap opera-y like news that they want to give everybody all the time. And if people choose that they just want to be happy and they want to post pictures of pigs, I want to join that group so I can start putting some pictures of cute pigs in there. And it's like, we should be able to do that. We should be able to be happy,
You got pigs?
I don't have pigs, but
okay.
they're super cute. So I think that it would be really good for the group.
I had a pig when I was a kid. My dad had a pig, had a potbelly pig.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was cool.
Cute, right?
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh my gosh. But so just back to the chat feature, I think that it's gonna definitely be able to really help the individual layers and stuff like that. Because you might end up getting a layer that doesn't have a lot of content creation inside of it. And if we can implement a plan where people are either, I don't know, maybe they have to pay energy to put stickers into the chat or something like that, it might be able to help generate more revenue or more energy for that layer itself,
I've thought about that specifically, just from seeing how much money people donate to Reddit to get little symbols on it. It's like, oh, you get little like colorful tokens and coins and stuff. And literally what people are doing is just shoveling money to this company called Reddit. It's not going to the person that you're like, they get an icon, like they get to name a server and be in a special chat room for a month saying, oh, look at me, I got gilded, but it doesn't help them, that kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of stuff is absolutely the type of thing that, if people are doing it already, we can start.
People want it, definitely.
Yeah, we can start getting them paid for it. That's always my thing about, when I'm talking to my friends that are on Facebook every day, I'm like, you're spending a lot of time working for free for this company. The reason they're valuable is because of your content and content like yours and the conversations you have with friends, so they know who to send the advertising to whenever they get paid to advertise. That's their whole model. You know what I mean? You can literally do the same thing over here, and you can treat it as free money if you want, and we'll buy a beer kind of thing. So
that's kind of where I'm at with people. I'm like, okay, you guys, but it's the delusional aspect. People are constantly in this state of they don't like social media, but they spend so much time on it. And I'm like, so instead of being enslaved to something you don't want to do, come help me build this over here on this side. And you can choose which kind of content you put out. You can get paid for it. You can literally help build your own community. You can be part of many communities, on purpose.
You're gonna meet people that's like you and me, man. You seem like a cool dude. You meet people and it's refreshing, like you wouldn't run into normally, right? You already know everybody on Facebook that you talk to. Come talk to some people you don't know.
That's very true too. I mean, come on, guys. Like, the world is a big place.
Yeah.
Let's actually explore it. I mean, for me, I'm not very like tech savvy, even though I probably should. I'm not that old. I'm not that young, but I should know something. But the whole trying to do crypto is very hard for me. So when at the moment that I seen Den, and it's like you don't have to put anything into it initially, you can just start. Like, I'm not even worried about trying to take any matter or anything off of Den. Like, I'm trying to just accumulate it for right now and really get involved.
That's a really important point for me anyway, is that something that we've gotten to, which wasn't quite there yet in the beginning whenever I signed up, whenever I found in, is that now there's all of the tools in place to not pay a dime to come in and create a free account, not give any personal information except an email address, and end up being an owner of a community, right? Not only get paid for your content, but in getting paid, rewarded, those rewards are then used to farm lore to reward you for holding that matter, for earning it in the first place. You know, the idea being you must have done good to get it, because that's how the system's supposed to work. And then you get lore from that. And every month you have an opportunity to vote for a community that you think you would want to be involved, or at least help to govern, I guess, and earn rewards from. And all of a sudden now you've got literally anybody with a phone can download an app and start building up to some sort of passive income, right? It doesn't matter how much in the beginning. It matters that like anything is more than zero or arguably negative on other platforms. So the proof of concept is proven. Now we get to roll out. Now we get to really expand on this. So that's this year. I feel like it's going to be an onboarding year. 22 is.
I mean, I feel like we're still in January. I feel like we're off to a great start already.
Yeah. Yep.
I was thinking about like how later, when it is pretty popular and stuff like that, how people who are just coming in and want to be content creators won't necessarily have to fear not being able to get enough matter. Thankfully, because we do have the tip function. I mean, when we start getting to that point when there's enough people online, and we're like, okay, guys, we're starting our giveaways and stuff like that. Because I did see some of the lairs have started to do giveaways and stuff like that for being able to post content, getting enough likes, getting enough engagement and stuff like that. People will definitely be able to move their way up and make something out of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly the giveaways. Early on, it was a problem because that required a gas fee. Now it doesn't tip like ownership, a lot token. So it was difficult for owners to spread to further decentralize after it was created by tipping out lot, because now you can't tip one lot. It's $300 for a gas fee, for Ethereum or something like that, or $30 even, or whatever. So that's gasless now. So that's gasless. And the other thing was exactly what you said, which is, I did a couple of like a live stream we did from a studio with a band, and I started looking at like some payouts on some content and realizing that as a content creator, you're literally competing against anyone else that day or that period who posted content on the entire website, not just your layer. And so there's going to be days where as a creator, like you might publish something on a Sunday, and it does great because there's not a lot of content, but you post something on a Tuesday, and there's like a bunch of other stuff that gets, you're competing with, and you might get paid out less just because of that. And so that was where tipping became an important feature, because then let's say you're a musician and you're just doing a little show live on Den or something. Well, then you can get tips, and then people that are watching your content, if they appreciate it, they can at least guarantee that you get a certain amount of reward for it. Like, I want to make sure that this person gets at least $5. Here's, whatever that is worth of matter. And so that makes it a lot more consistent with what creators, I guess that's like a tool that creators need. If we wanted to onboard creators, we needed to have more tools like that. So now it's there.
That's definitely where
you've thought about this. I can tell you've thought about this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like because I mean, for me, it's a long term kind of game. Like, I mean, even when it comes to getting enough lore so that we can have lots and stuff like that, thinking about the percentages, the amount of votes you might need, or like, so one of the proposals was talking about the 5 runner-ups and having them pay matter to create a layer if
Yes.
they
Yes.
couldn't get the 2 monthly slots or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And I definitely feel like something like that definitely needs to be able to be implemented at least um, in the time coming. Like I don't necessarily know if it's something that has to last or if the prices just because with Matter how the prices already changed. When I first started, Matter was at 57 cents and now it's at when I checked I think last night or this morning it was at 61 cents. And I
Yeah.
know that's going to fluctuate and change and everything like that. But what happens when Matter breaks past $1 or $10 or $100? You know?
I think what will end up happening is there'll be another proposal that goes out saying we want to adjust the cost in matter of that process based on the fact that now matter is more difficult to get. It's worth more money or whatever, that kind of thing. Because that happened before there was a matter fee, there was an ether fee. And that was when ether was not, it was like $1,000, $1,500, something like that. But then ether went to $4,000, you know? And we were like, oh, well, that's a big difference. Let's change the structure a little bit. And so we switched it to the matter tier based, and it gets more expensive, you know, the less close you were to winning. So I think that will be updated over over time, depending on how expensive matter is. And that'll be even more than that, though, it'll be automated over time. Even the amount of layers that get created each month will be automated to where it doesn't have to be decided by, right now it's a governance issue where we manually notice that people are using that system and buying the layers because more people want layers than what we're providing for free. And so we notice that and we put up a governance proposal and say, hey, we want to increase the number next month because it looks like there's demand. And then that has to pass and then it happens. In the future, everything that we learn manually can be automated to where then based on adoption and based on growth, the number of layers that are up to win the LCP every month can automatically or dynamically just be changed by the system based on what objectively needs to be done. So yeah, I think the matter fees probably will get automated one day too. In fact, I hadn't thought about this until just now, but one of the early proposals that did pass that is still on the list to get implemented is a switch where when you're viewing matter, you can switch to view it in your wallet in USD value versus matter value, right? So once that's in, we could even tie the tiered fee system to that, to where it always, like each month, maybe it'll update depending on how much the value on the open market of matter has gone up and down. The system could just self-adjust. That way, like what you're talking about, we don't get into a situation where matter's $1,000 each and it still costs 1,000 matter to open your talking about $1 million layer over there, to avoid that situation. So yeah, that stuff can be dynamically, and that's why we do this call every week too, is kind of to get a temperature check, see how it's going, take notes, put out what we've been talking about internally, just so everybody's on the level, and that kind of thing.
Do we have some kind of equation for the matter to energy? Once matter starts going up, how much energy it will be able to generate depending on its value?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a mechanism outlined in the white paper somewhere that talks about how we can change. Right now it's 1-to-1, but we can change that ratio in the future depending on exactly that. Planning ahead for that scenario to where, it isn't matter in the beginning days where you get paid out dozens of matter for an awesome post. We still, even if people are only able to earn because of the dynamic or because of the tokenomics or whatever and adoption and how many people are using it and how many people that 1,000 per day is spread out to, even if someone's, maybe able to earn 0.1 matter per day, we'll need some kind of way to change the multiplier, basically, to say instead of 1 to 1, now maybe it's 1 to 5, where you get 5 times as much energy as you get matter balance, so that you can still keep up with, like, okay, obviously people aren't getting paid out as much as they were in the beginning because of growth, which is natural. So you update that so that you get more energy per matter, and then everything's basically on par again.
I did have one thing that I was actually really confused about every time I do read about it. When it talks about, so when you sign up for the website, you're given 24 free matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Energy.
Oh, sorry, 24 free energy. Yes.
That's all right.
Now, is that a base? So say I never gained any matter again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never gained any matter at all. I would still accumulate 1 energy per hour, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So that's not just like a one-time thing. That's your daily. So, excuse me, your max energy right now should be whatever your max matter is plus 24.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was what my confusion always was. So say you have 30 matter and stuff like that, it's always going to be the 30 plus the 24, right?
Yeah, you should have 54 energy in a period.
Okay, that's why I was always just confused, because I know that it's pretty much 2 matter per energy. 2 matter an hour for 1 energy, for 1 extra energy. Is that pretty much how it's set up?
Say that. I'm sorry. Say that again.
So if you have 48 matter, you get 1 extra energy an hour, right?
If you have 48 matter, you get 48 energy. Yeah, plus 1 per hour. Yes, I think that's right. So you can think of it as daily instead of by the hour. And then that daily is just split up among 24 hours, just so that you don't have to wait until the next day to like earn some points back. Because in the beginning it was just per day. You'd use them up, and that was it for the whole day. And then we were like, okay, well, we don't want to wait until the next day to get some energy back and all credit it back at once. So then it was like, okay, well, let's just split it up among the 24 hours. So yeah, you should always get 1/24 of your matter balance plus 1, which is your 24 energy that you get just for opening an account per hour, is how that should work. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Here's what you can do to simplify that. Pretend you don't get 24 free energy. Just right. Like that doesn't exist. You should get 1/24 of your of yesterday's whatever it was at the last period's balance of matter per hour that you're on Den. That's how much should come back every hour, is 1/24 of your matter in energy.
Okay, yeah, I was just confused. That makes sense now. It is right. So every 24 sets of matter is 1 additional energy per hour. I know that I keep going back to the hour thing, and I know it's a day.
Yeah, no, that's all right. No, that's fine. Yeah, you can just, it's whatever your matter balance is plus 1.
Yeah,
it's what it's going to be.
I just want to make sure. And the most that we can hold at one time.
What's that?
The most that we can hold at one time is the 24 plus whatever our matter is.
Yeah, right. So throughout the course of the day, it should fill up to that point where, okay, now you are equal with, and that's a good point. Yeah, it isn't 1/24 no matter what. It's 1/24 as long as you have an empty tank and you need to fill it up a little bit. It's like you can treat your matter balance as the size of your fuel tank, and then your energy is the fuel you're using to interact every day. And so once it tops up, that's as much as you can hold, that kind of thing.
Okay, awesome. I mean, it's just going to be really exciting when like you see yourself go from like having so little energy to like you wake up and you have 100 energy available or 1,000 energy available. It's going to be exciting.
And that's why I'm not really. I wasn't sure if I wanted to show like that I have a high matter balance or something on these broadcasts or whatever. But I feel like I didn't go out and buy any of those. I just have been using this for 18 months. You know what I mean? That's literally all of that has come. I took matter out one time and I put it right back in just to make sure that the export matter system worked. That's the only time I've ever done it, just to make sure that it functionally worked. So that balance, and the reason I decided to leave it up there was like, that's literally, and that's gone down. So a month ago, it would have said almost 14,000, but I've been tipping people out, and I've been like sharing, like I do a Wednesday morning show with a few people. And then so I tip them out like a share of what I get paid for that. And I tip out everybody who, in Matter, I tip out everybody who leaves me a question or a topic or something to talk about. And I'll probably do that, after this is over too. I'll go back in and I'll tip you out. I'll tip out, I am for asking a question. So I've been doing that kind of stuff just to like, I want to maintain that engagement, right? So, a Matter or two might be 50 cents, $1, that kind of thing, whatever it is. But they're points on here. I'll give some of them away because I got them for basically free. And if I can use them now as a tool to incentivize other people to do something similar, then that's what Matters for, is incentivizing people, and it's the same thing with giving away lot. If you're the only owner, that's a lot of work. But if you got 12 other people who are hype and they all have lot too, then they help you run that thing. And you don't have to, maybe they're all in different time zones. So it's good for everyone. So yeah. You've done your homework, man. I appreciate that too, because your questions are informed. Your questions are like really good questions. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be one of those people who are like, oh, I just don't get it. I didn't, but I didn't read nothing. Like, no, I've been trying to like really sit down and go through everything and like try to understand it before like you cry wolf or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it ended up being an error. The reason you were banned. I'm glad that you brought it up because and I've said this before. I'm up here. I feel like I'm up here on screen a lot, 3 or 4 times a week, but the team under the hood working on this is really like you've said before. You look at how fast things are rolling out. They're paying attention. We were sitting here. You came on earlier, and I didn't have an answer to your question, but somebody was listening in and sent me, sent the private message and was like, hey, here's the answer. So they went out and probably contacted somebody else saying, hey, there's somebody on right now saying that this is an issue. What do you know about it? Got an answer, came back during the same show. That's amazing.
That's amazing. No, 100%.
So,
I would super appreciate it.
Well, I think I'm going to wrap up, man. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go get a 6-pack, and it's date night for me and my wife tonight. You know what I mean? It's the end of my day. I'm in Florida myself. I don't know where you are. So it's the end of the day.
In Delaware. East Coast, though, so we're out here. Yeah.
Yep.
You guys be safe. Make smart choices. Have fun tonight. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. And thank you for all of your feedback. I do appreciate that.
No problem at all. See you guys next time.
All right. See you. All right. That was awesome. I'm glad that I'm glad that denizen joined us today. So for next week, if you want to do that, hop in and let's talk. If you've got questions that's been burning at you, let's get on here and answer them. So that's solid. So did I leave off anywhere there? I think that we're down to reminders, right? Yeah, we just got done talking about the fees again. And let's see. Yep, here we are. So let's go through reminders so I can wrap up here. And we'll go from there. So let's see. Submit questions for, World Blockchain Roundtable, Super Happy Dragon Lucky, and Coffee with Den. Bunch of reasons you want to do that. One of them is that you'll get rewarded for doing it. The questions that are answered on Super Happy and World Blockchain Roundtable, I think both get lot. So ownership of the layer. One of them, Super Happy, gives out ownership, I think, of the Dragon Chain layer, if I'm not wrong. And then World Blockchain gives out World Blockchain lot for that one. And that's what you can use to vote on new topics and direct the show. Really is what you're doing, is you're directing the host or the hosts to, into what you want to hear them talk about. What maybe you have questions that we haven't had a topic or you haven't had an opportunity to ask it. That's where you can vote on next month's topics so that you can get that in there. So participate in that, and then you can get a lot more questions answered because you get to choose what questions are answered. And then there's just a reminder in here about which layer each one shows up in. World Blockchain Roundtable is every Thursday, so every today at 11 o'clock Eastern, or I guess that's 9 a.m. Pacific time. Super Happy is on Tuesdays. That one goes, it covers DIN and it covers Dragon Chain. It's more of a Dragon Chain leaning show, so it's in the Dragon Chain layer. And then Coffee and DIN is my show that I do with a few of my friends, where this is a governance call, and we try to talk about business and mechanics of things and concerns and where we're going. With Coffee with DIN, we literally hang out and talk about DIN stuff, and where anyone, again, just like this show, is welcome to join us when we go off topic all the time. And it's really just to have fun on DIN show. So that's Wednesday mornings over on the DIN layer at 9 a.m. Eastern. So I'll see you on one of those. I am going to sign off of here. I think that we've gotten everything that we needed to put out, and I'm looking forward to next week already. I hope we get more people like Hyperion Frequency and I Am For I Am to chime in and to do the type of work that they're already doing on DIN, so that we can all have a better world. So thanks, everyone. And I will see you, I guess, next week. I'll see you on probably, I guess it will be Wednesday morning for the next Coffee with a DIN. So, adios.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.